Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV, where we believe that everyone has the potential to be a giant in their own world. Hang tight because in this episode, we are going to talk about finding authentic happiness and fulfillment in life and in love. This is a show you're not going to want to miss. It's time to wake up and embrace the inner giant. Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. I'm Ryan Morris. I'm the co-creator of Wake Up with Giants TV, a tribe of giants, and Mandelbrot Productions, which brought you the beautiful book, The Giants and the Smalls, and soon to be The Tortoise's Hair, which was written by Mr. Nicholas T. Smith, the author and co-creator of all of those things as well. Hello, Mr. Nicholas T. Smith. How are you doing today?
Hello there, dude. I am tired.
We
Daylight
sprung
savings
forward.
Yeah, snuck up on me.
Spring has sprung.
After 48 years, you'd think you'd get used to this stuff.
You never really do. The fall
No.
back one is fun.
I like that
Springing
one.
forward, not as fun sometimes, but
Springy.
actually, I don't ever change my habits, so I keep going
Right.
to bed at the same dang time. So
So it's like 5 a.m. instead of 4 a.m.
Not
Yeah.
fun. Oh, we got so much good stuff going on. Right now we are in the midst of a Kickstarter. Well, it's an Indiegogo crowdfunding for The Tortoise's Hair. We're going to get this book released to the world. It's an amazing book. I'm going to probably let you share the message of that, if you will. Do you mind doing that real quick?
It's a message of hope and self-love. So it's a story of a tortoise. My kids had a tortoise years ago named Frankie, so that's where the name came from. And we're even thinking with Steve Hardison's tortoise number 11, right? Maybe incorporating that in somehow.
I think
but the idea here is that we're all born a little differently, and we go try and fit in with the world, and we start to create despair around not fitting in the way that we think we should. And so this is a journey of a tortoise who goes out to try and fit in the world and goes on a quest to gain her own fitting in, to get her own hair so she fits in like the other tortoises, but discovers in the journey that she doesn't want to do that, that she wants to accept herself fully. And so it's a journey of self-acceptance, self-love, kindness, and growth. And so the world needs that right now. There's a lot of despair, deaths of despair at an all-time high. And so we hope that this book will bring hope to the hopeless. That's the idea. So go to tortoiseshair.com and contribute to help us make this a reality.
Our goal was 10 grand. And then if we go over that, there's some amazing things that we would do with that extra. But we hit, what did we hit? 3 grand?
3 grand in 3 days. Yeah. If we go at that pace in 60 days, we should have 60 grand. It's perfect.
Hey, let's do that.
Let's do that.
That would be amazing. And then we can get into, the plan is to go into schools and suicide prevention and stuff with, drinking
addiction,
and drugs and
recovery, right?
Yep.
It's a great message for that.
So what age is the book aimed at?
It truly, again, like the Giants and the Smalls, all ages. But we're trying to teach kids while they're young during development, especially from 0 to 7. Parents really have an input with their kids before they go to school. And then from 7 on, they kind of meld into society. And so we'd like to help parents teach their kids while they're really young, while the parents still have influence.
Mind, isn't it? I mean, 0 to 7 is their subconscious mind. Yeah. And before you go to sleep and when you wake up, you're reprogramming your subconscious mind. So the power of books are amazing. And I've literally purchased every book on Hay House, children's book, and I would read them to my kids and they went into my subconscious mind.
I love that.
Reading these beautiful books, like Mike Dooley has one, Dreams Can Come True. It's one of my favorite books of all times. And by the end of it, I was like, yeah, all I need is me. My dreams can come true. I was like,
hey, I can do that, right?
Magical programming.
I need this more than them. Oh, come on, girls, let's read this. It reminds me of another book by Byron Katie. She's got one, and it's with the tortoise as well, which is amazing. And the tortoise looks in this reflection in the I think it's a river. I would say sea. I was going to say sea, but it's a river. And it's a beautiful like metaphor for life. And I just think we adults need this because it's simple.
Tortoises, right?
We need simplicity. We need this in our life.
Tortoises are so wise.
Emotional support tortoises for everyone.
Our inner child, though, don't forget. I mean, at one stage I was reading them because our inner child also needs to be loved. They need to hear this message if they was never heard that message. So it works twofold to do this for others, but then also to do that for your own inner child.
For sure. I wrote this message first in 8th grade, middle school. It's a pretty pivotal time of life. And so to have this rewritten in 2013 and now released in 2023, I think it's timely. The world needs this right now. So I think that inner child needs a lot of healing, and this will help for that.
It's awesome.
Yep.
Well, you can find out everything we're doing, giantsandsmalls.com. You can sign up for a newsletter that'll have updates on the tortoise's hair as well. You contribute. It's super easy to do, and it's obviously going to an amazing thing. So we would appreciate it. We also have, if you follow us on giantsandsmalls.com, you can find all of our social media stuff that we're doing, all the good we do in the world, and we go into schools, we go into prisons, we love to be in the community. And so if you want to come and join a Tribe of Giants on Facebook, that is a great place for people to come together as well, and just support each other and love each other through this crazy, amazing journey we call life.
And join our daggone newsletter.
Daggone it.
Daggone it. Yeah, do that on giantsandsmalls.com. It'll pop up on your screen and you can just click the button. And it's easy. And then we hound the crap out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome.
No, we won't. we're not that
in a good way. In a good way.
Oh, shoot. Well, is there anything else too, Nick, that I'm missing on announcements?
No, we have our SG programs coming up. So we're building the interest list for the SG Live and the SG 10. And so those are our 12 journey training programs. Outside of that, I think you hit it. Just keep following us here. Keep sharing the story. Let's grow the world.
Yeah. And speaking of growing the world,
yeah,
we have an amazing guest who's doing just that with her heart. This lady is amazing. And I'm so blessed that I was able to come across her path. I think it was through the Ultimate Coach. I don't know exactly when. I don't even think that was created, actually.
It wasn't,
I think I found you just by being connected to Steve Hardison. Which there's a lot of amazing people that are connected to Steve Hardison. I'm so grateful that our paths crossed because you have impacted my life. But I want Nick to hurry and introduce you because we got a lot of show to get to and not enough time, because I know there's not enough time to even touch the surface of what you have to share.
Yeah, let's do it. Marina Lazaris, a relationship coach who combines her expertise in psychology, neurolinguistic programming, acting, and hypnosis to help people connect with their true selves and live a heart-centered life. She created the Marina Method, a holistic approach that eliminates shame and helps individuals achieve a fully integrated life. As a certified coactive coach, Marina has helped entrepreneurs, CEOs, and others discover their inner strength and achieve the life they truly deserve. She's passionate about helping others find true freedom, love, and peace. And today we get to jump into her journey. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And is it
make me want to live in America more? I'm in the wrong country.
I think I'd rather be in the country outside of London, personally. That would be ideal.
And I was going to ask you, is it Lazarus or Lazaris? Because I guess that's potato, depending on where you live in the world.
Or lasers.
You know what? I just, however you want to say it, right? It does come from the Bible, Lazarus, because Lazarus rose from the dead. And my great-great-granddad, they thought he was dead. And they went to bury him in the village in Cyprus. And he wasn't dead. He woke up. So that's how my family got the surname Lazarus. I mean, they had like the funeral and everything. Everyone came. And, you know, in them days, they done like bandages and stuff like that. And he just kind of woke up.
That's crazy. Wow. So Lazarus.
Lazarus. I say Lazarus, but you can
You
say
do.
whatever you like. Yeah, you know.
I like Lazaris. It sounds magical.
Does it sound more
How about
dramatic?
Marina Lazarus then is joining us, not Marina Lazaris.
Marina
That's somebody
Lazarus, all
else.
right, mate? All right, darling.
Well, let's dive into your journey. I mean, there's a lot that happens in life for us to get to where we are. And if we can go back in time in your journey to where this all began, where you began waking up to your potential, and maybe you had lived out an entire life a certain way. Maybe there were developmental things that happened, that inner child maybe got wounded. Maybe it didn't. For some people, it didn't. But
Well,
in your journey, where was that?
I mean, listen, I think this is something I was born into. It wasn't something I've turned around and gone, oh, I'm going to be a coach or I'm going to do this. My dad was always very spiritual. So this is the reason why I wrote the book for men, because I was always very connected to my dad. He taught me about auras. He taught me about being spiritual. He also had a hard life. He was in and out of prison before he had me. There was a lot of violence. So I was always very close to my dad. He was more the nurturer. He was entrepreneurial. He had 20 men working for him. He was chasing this idea of what success was. And his health suffered. He got given 24 hours to live at one stage and he nearly died. And a lot of that was unprocessed trauma. Now, me being the little child I was, I had my dad having unprocessed trauma, my mum having unprocessed trauma. And I suppose in a way I was a bit like an actress and a coach from a very young age. I think you pick your parents. I'm so grateful that I picked my mum and dad. They taught me so much. They taught me so much empathy and compassion for extreme personality types, because my dad's extrovert, my mum's introvert. They both have different types of trauma. So I learned a lot. So my spiritual awakening, well, I can't pinpoint that on a specific time, but I have been on this journey all my life. This is not something that I just decided to go into. And I think when you are brought up with extreme diversity, my parents didn't work. They, after that tragedy, just couldn't rise. They just couldn't do it. And in a way, it taught me a lot around life at a young age, and reflecting back. Hi, Tanya. It also taught me that it isn't necessarily about what you do. So many people are like, oh, my parents are this or that, or I'm this or I'm that. And I'm like, but who are you being? Like Steve Hardison would say, that's the most important thing. And there is so much work that I have come to understand on myself and in life. It's about, well, it doesn't matter really. When we die, all we're going to take with us is who we are actually being. But my dad was a great teacher of that. And I had a lot of frustration around that when I was young, like seeing him being successful, having like 20 men working for him, and then seeing him nearly die, go through losing everything and not be able to recover from that.
Yeah. I want to hit on something that you hit on. Somebody else put this up too. A lot of generational trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
The epigenetics of things. I don't know if we can dive into that. That might be a little bit of a stretch. Is these things that get carried on through the family, and they come to us, and we get a chance to maybe heal that, right? And not carry it forward. Is that something that applies to your life?
100%.
Yeah.
I think, and for me, it was immigrational trauma as well, because my grandparents came over during the war. So there was a lot of trauma there. My grandparents, my dad's side, were Greek Cypriot, and on my mum's side, Irish Ukrainian. So they're coming over looking for a better life, and with that, with war trauma, my granddads were they had to be hard men. They had to disconnect from their emotions. They had to survive. I mean, what do you expect? They had to go and kill people.
Right.
We've got disconnected, cold men. And then we've got, women that are in relationships with these men as well. So there's a lot there, and a lot on helping people feel like they belong, helping people feel like they are loved, healing any shame, because I saw that in my family dynamic around not feeling like you belong somewhere. And that's heartbreaking to see that play out the next generation, because we think we associate that with, just people that have come from a different country recently. But that takes, up to 7 generations to heal. Yeah, unless you sit and do the work.
It's not like it's only the events in your life that impact you. It can be genetic impacts too, like you're talking about. Can you share your definition of trauma, what that means to you when you use that word?
I think trauma would be an event that gets stuck in your body.
Okay.
So, and that you're not able to process. Okay. And to fully process trauma, I think you need to release it. You need to, and it's not only just talking about it. That's embodying it, releasing it through your body, maybe acting it out in some way, maybe then reenacting how you would have wanted it to have gone, and then visioning something different, right? So that's my theory.
I just had a vision of, like walking out of a room, and the genetic version of trauma would be that the light got left on, right? When you came into the house, the light was on. And, the trauma, the ability to heal that would be like walking out of the room and being able to turn that switch off, right? Like that light's no longer on, or that switch is no longer empowered, right? So that healing of trauma, I think Gabor Mate talks about that trauma is ungrieved grief. Mm. Do you have a version of that, or do you see it similar?
Yeah, I do. I do see it similar. And I like your analogy around turning the switch on and off.
Yeah.
And I suppose what it needs to be switched. I think that when you transform it into empathy, and you've understood it, and you've processed it fully through you, and you were talking about in grief, right? So that's the emotional release. So as Gabor, I always say Gabor mate, actually. But
Gabor mate.
Gabor right? Mate. No, Marina, that's not the way you say
it. It sounds way more friendly, right?
The man reminds me of my dad so much. Like, I actually see him as having so much trauma still. Yeah. So there's so much around that. And I think sometimes people carry it. They carry their anger. They carry these emotions and they don't release it. And sometimes then it's actually, by carrying it, you're actually producing the hormones like it's still happening in your body.
Right.
And then we're actually then not liking ourselves or sabotaging ourselves. And that turns into illness.
It does.
So it's powerful to release, you're allowed to release, and then work through to, move forward in your life. And then not be a loaded gun or whatever, as you said, like having the switch on all the time. So you want to, like, I don't know, fight everyone.
Because why is my power bill so high, right? It's like constantly going. What's interesting about trauma, neglect, abuse, all these deeper impacting events is that they create imagery in the mind. So the thoughts, it's not like you just have words and then you have this emotion. You have images and then you have this emotion. And so when that trauma gets turned on, there's usually this image that gets imprinted and stuck in the body. Like you say, it doesn't get released. So that could be genetic, or that could be from your own events. And so you have this unhealed trauma, and you keep having these images that play out that create this emotional impact. And then those emotions affect how you show up in the world, right? Your thoughts, emotions, and actions. And so how would you, well, first, would you consider yourself to be a wounded healer? Would you consider yourself to be something outside of that? Does that make sense? That you've been wounded by trauma?
Wounded healer. I mean, the wounded healer archetype is an interesting one.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, I have been through my own adversity. I don't actually like typecasting in any shape or form, putting anything in any boxes. That's not how I operate. But I would say that through going through my own adversity, it's given me more compassion, more empathy, more understanding, more ability to connect.
Beautiful.
And that's it. And I think when we see it as the gifts that it is, everything transforms.
Yeah. So when we do our 12 journeys in our training, the second journey is awareness. Right. And in that journey, we talk about compassion and empathy and observation and neutrality when it comes to events or unconscious behaviors. And you hit on that a couple of times today. You've hit on empathy and compassion and the importance of those. Can you go into that a little more? Why are those so important?
They're so important because it starts with us as well, ourselves. And, that's why in my book, I've said, love the fuck out of everything.
Yeah.
The essence is, unless we do, just love the fuck out of everything and go, my personal thing is giving it meaning. That might not be somebody else's personal thing. And I always share my personal experience and my journey, but that doesn't mean that you can't choose something different. We're all different. But how I've gone through my adversity is to give it meaning. And by giving it meaning, it's how can I give back? How can I serve? How can I stop somebody else suffering the way I've suffered? How can I make someone feel loved when they don't feel loved? Like whatever that is, giving it meaning and giving back is always been my answer. I don't know if I answered the question there around empathy.
No, that's good. That's really good, actually. So giving it meaning, I mean, Edith Eger talks about this. Viktor Frankl talks about giving things meaning. And I think there's a step before this that might happen, that to give it meaning, you've got to know that it's there. And when you know it's there, there's got to be some room given to it so that you can give it some meaning. I think people get into this idea that they wake up to that unconsciousness or that behavior, and they become aware of it, and they immediately sink into grief, depression, anxiety, shame, guilt. And so they can't give it meaning. Well, no, they are assigning it meaning, right? They're assigning it that's negative or hard or challenging or unovercomable, right?
Yeah.
Is that accurate or?
Yeah. Well, this is it. It's all our perspective, isn't it? I mean, look,
Yeah.
this thing, life happens, things happen, and we have to process that. But then it's how we stay in that. So then I would say in the start of my book, it's about victimhood. And so often we're stuck in victimhood, and it can keep us stuck for years. And for the way personally is that you work through it, and then to raise that consciousness, it's like, okay, this has happened. But for me, I don't want anyone to suffer the way I've suffered. I don't want anyone that I've had direct experiences with that I've loved, especially in my family unit. Like I have more compassion because I've seen the suffering firsthand.
Right.
And I've seen what it's like. So to have all these different things. So I'm like, okay, that's a superpower that I've got.
Yeah.
To feel, to understand, and to help people then do the same. And sometimes we need to collide with certain people in our lives that allow us to drop into that.
Yeah, that's an interesting word to use, collide, right? Not like bounce off each other or, a collision to me is like, boom, you hit, right? And sometimes there are some really impactful events that just smash you to pieces, right? But there's something that comes from that. A lot of people on the show, they wouldn't be who they are today without those events. And I love the people that they are today. And they might not love themselves the way they are today, but I wouldn't know them, right?
It's all fucking perfect. And
it is.
They're fucking perfect. It's like, I love it because I see it. It's like smashing your heart right open,
Yeah.
Like, we have these events and they collide, but almost if it's all perfect, it's always like for a reason. We're meant to be then going to a different direction, or, when it's all kind of working for us, it becomes this magical journey. And it sounds woo-woo, but it's actually a great perspective to be in. To take responsibility and go, okay, right, I've created it all up until now.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's all fucking perfect.
It's like when you say fucking perfect, it's like butter. When I say it, it's like cheese grater or something. It's like amazing. It just flows. If we could all say it just like that, it'd be perfect, right?
But then it is that simple, right? And
yes,
I just think we can overcomplicate it. And, when we look for the worst case scenario and the sadness, and sometimes we find it and we can stay there. We can lose our life there.
The root journeys. So we have 6 journeys that we go through that are all that internal work, and people do get stuck. They get stuck and don't know how to get out of it. And so you look at an event happens, or you have some unconscious way of being, or you can't even remember where the event came from, but it was impactful enough that it carried forward and it has a say in your life, right? And when they wake up to that, they move into the awareness. What we try and teach them is to be neutral and compassionate and empathetic towards whatever's going on in them. But most people don't do that. And then they move into grief, and that becomes depression and anxiety. And then they move into victimhood or resistance, and that spins them back into the unconsciousness. And then instead of using tools to come out of it, they numb out. They use tools to numb out, right? Like alcohol or drugs or sex or food. And so that's the cycle they get stuck in. And what we're trying to help them do is to create space for whatever is going on, and to create more empowering tools to move through that so that they can create the life of their dreams. And I'm wondering, as you look at acknowledging what is, so moving from victimhood to acknowledgement, not victimhood to, oh, I've got a great day, like toxic positivity. Oh, hey, I'm chipper, and you're not. But victimhood to maybe acknowledgement or acceptance. Is that the way that you would do it, or would you move from victimhood to power? Like, how would you transition?
So you said so much there that I want to comment on. And I
don't remember what I said because caffeine.
So much. But there was this like element of number one, right?
Yeah.
When you don't know, if you haven't got people there for you, if you don't have any other tools, if you have done any of them things, if you've drank alcohol, if you've overeaten, if you've had sex, if you've done these things to numb your pain, it's all fucking perfect. And I say that with conviction because that's where you need to be first. Hence, I love the fuck out of everything. It is all fucking perfect. Even that you've done that. There's no shame. You was doing the best you possibly could with the tools that you had.
That right there, right? There's no shame in even being in that.
No, there's no shame. And actually, we take it one step further. Who's anyone to judge? People have the tools that they have at the time, and they're doing the best that they can do at that time. And in that time of your life, you were doing the best, and it's okay. And you didn't know no different. And it's hard. It's hard when people are in shame. It's hard when people are lonely. And I can resonate in times of my life when I've gone through examples of that. And I just think, I look back at myself and just go, it's okay. Because I was doing the best I could, and I wouldn't be able to empathize with others and help others on their journey now if I hadn't gone through it, because I'd be a fucking fake, wouldn't I?
Well, the word resonate, think about that word, right? I can resonate with that. I can relate to that. It's like I can be on the same frequency as you when you were in that. I can know what it feels like. If it's a vibration, it's a feeling, right? So I know what that feels like to be where you're at, to resonate. Things don't resonate if they're at different levels. It's terrible. It sounds horrible. It's like a cat on a screen, or I don't.
Such an interesting one, isn't it? Because it's like, and it's talking about the vibration of it and the resonance of it. It's almost like, okay, if that's true, then when we're in that emotion and we're still carrying that emotion, would we resonate? It's interesting. Because obviously, like different frequencies, we resonate at different frequencies at the time.
Sure.
But if we've worked through our own stuff, it becomes a part of us and a collective part of us that we've healed and we've transformed to love. And then we're maybe not triggered by it, and we're not judging it, and we're not stopping and being aware of it in that moment, because we can't resonate, we can't relate, we haven't. So there's an element of energy of love. Well, then you're in the energy of love, you're going to vibrate and attract everything. And if you've worked through these different energies, then you're going to be able to help transmute them quicker. That's my...
I have this vision right now of like you're going along and you're listening to, I don't know, Josh Groban or Pavarotti, right? And your music is just mellow, and you're going along, and then something happens in your life, and it's like Rob Zombie just came in the room, or Ozzy Osbourne, and so the types of music are so different, right? That they don't go together, but there's this balancing out of the music, so to speak. You either come down to that level or they come up to your level, right? And people talk about vibration and frequency and things like this, but to put it in the context of music and feeling and we feel that within our bodies, sometimes our tune is a little different from somebody else's tune. And there's this collision like you talk about.
And it's a gift. Like if people can see it's a gift. And often what people do is don't see it as a gift. And they're like, oh, they reject it or they push it away. And it's like vibrationally, if you're not in a vibrational harmony with someone or a vibrational match, it's still a gift. And if you see that gift and send it love, then and carry on your journey, then it's okay, right?
But we box ourselves in. It's like, I don't listen to country music. I don't listen to this, right? Just as an analogy here is I've got my tune and that's all I listen to. So somebody else comes in, I have zero tolerance for that because it doesn't fit into my box of what I listen to. So we really close ourselves off to the frequencies, to the experience, really.
Fuck the boxes. Fuck the boxes. It's like, honestly, like as I say it, I'm just like, but why do we do that? It's just fear. The only reason why you do that is fear of something. And I don't know what the fear is, but you do it because of fear. Like if you're not in love and acceptance of like just what is, then there's some fear, there's some resistance. And again, that's directing us towards what work we need to do.
Right.
And that's a gift. And if you go, well, oh, they're fucking gifting me. I love that. I love them for that gift.
Yeah.
Because the best spiritual teachers you will collide with. They will be your biggest teachers in some ways.
Oh man, in a big way, right? They'll be so opposite of you. Your greatest teachers, right?
Of course. Everyone's lesson. Like as I said, you pick your parents. I believe you pick your parents. I picked my parents. And I learned so much from them.
Yeah.
They were my biggest spiritual teachers. Of course they was. And anyone else that's loved me and left me or whatever.
Right.
My teachers.
Well, there were some times that I wanted some refunds, but looking back now, I can see the value in that, right? The value that came from it.
So much value. It's just like the most beautiful thing in a way. And like when you can look at it like that and go, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
Acceptance then is really an opening up. It's acknowledgement is giving room to whatever's going on in your world. Acceptance is simply that. It doesn't mean you love it, hate it, anything. It's just simply there's room. There's room for Ozzy Osbourne and there's room for Pavarotti, right? So however you do it.
Boring, wouldn't it?
Or Pink, right?
Boring. If it wasn't, it'd be boring. It would be boring if we were always happy.
Yeah.
Like it would be boring if listen, it's life. Like
it'd be a bland world, right?
Bland. That's why I like acting. It's like, you know, when you can integrate different parts of yourself, you can act. It's like that element of, okay, it's a human experience. That's what we signed up for. We signed up to be here and to experience all these things. And, you know, we're not AI robots just yet. And I don't want us to.
Not quite yet.
Thank you very much.
It's coming. But,
we're trying to make it that way. But no, you know, we're human. And it's, you know, to be able to sit and cry and know that you're not going to get stuck there is a gift.
Yeah. I want to talk about, while we're on the tone of music, right? It seems to be hitting today a little bit. Tuning up the instrument, right? I think, who is it? Wayne Dyer. He said that abundance isn't something that you acquire. It's something that you tune into. And that applies to other areas of our life too. Acceptance is something that you tune into. Gratitude is something that you tune into. It's not something you create. Compassion, I think, is Richard Schwartz, who says that compassion is a natural expression of the human being, that when you really connect to yourself, you're compassionate. You don't have to go develop it, create it, learn how to do it. It's already in there. And so tuning up the instrument to be able to tune into these things like abundance, gratitude, compassion, empathy, those are already there. We're just tuned out. We're out of tune. So we talk about tools of empowerment. That's one of our journeys, is how do you empower yourself and get back in tune so that you are aligned with the magic that's already around you? What are some of your tools for helping people to get their power back? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love what you're saying. And I love all of what you're saying. And when I hear power, I feel very much like a doing energy, like a masculine energy.
Okay.
And it's the element of having that being, that feminine, because what you're saying is about integration. What you're saying is about integrating parts. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Only until you've got that integration can then you feel fully. And only until you can feel fully can then you drop into yourself in every way. And then only then can you really then help others.
Yeah.
But
These words that we use, like drop in, right? Collide.
It's dropping in. It's like, well, it's we're a soul. This is
right.
the soul. We're a soul. And it's like we're walking this human experience and we're getting fed all these images and all these messages, which are not true. And it's like coming back to ourselves, coming back to us, which is our soul, which is our spirit, which is all around us. And that's what when we say an energy field and a life force, because it's here.
Yeah.
Right. And so then it's coming back, okay, let's recenter, let's, collect all these parts of me, let's, integrate. And when you say it, the power, I feel that, we want that power, but we need the balance. We need the intention.
I think flow would be a better word than power, because I feel like when you're in that survival state or those 6 root journeys, your arms are out and you're grasping to the edges of the riverbank, right? Like you're holding on to whatever you can hold on to. And it's really creating blockage back here and no movement up here. Right. But when you, like you say, when you pull everything back to yourself, you let go of the banks of the river, you pull everything back to yourself, you can flow with whatever comes up next, right? The uncertainty, the unknown, you don't care where it goes. You'll go with the river. If that were an analogy we could play with, or the music, you'll go with the music. What comes up?
Well, this is you going back to you and your soul. And as you said, no right or wrong, because in that moment it's power, right, for you. And, there's the element of flow and being true to yourself, which nothing is more powerful than water and flow. So it's all language.
Huh.
So, that's none of it's wrong, none of it's right. It's just going, okay, it's all beautiful. And that gets you back into flow in essence.
Yeah.
Going into that being state. And as you said, love and acceptance of loving it all. And really then just, claiming it all back. So then you can then move forward. And that might look like different things to hear, whether or not that's listening to music, because you bring music in a lot. And I listen to music. Like if I want more love, I listen to a love song, or a dance.
Right.
So this element of, that's your subconscious mind. What you're watching on TV is your subconscious mind. The hypnosis, on my Spotify, I've got a hypnosis track to give people so they can just listen to it. So it's like getting back into listening and developing stronger voices within you that are you, but that you can then grab onto them rather than the negative ones that might be weighing you down, right?
Yeah.
And just having that is fucking perfect.
It's fucking perfect. This is going to be called the pink episode, right? Like, I love it. But looking at the idea of flow. So when you get into that state and you get okay with your soul, yourself, and you're able to get into that flow and tune into all these things, abundance, gratitude, compassion, empathy, you're tuning into it. You're not creating it. You're not developing it. You're just tuning into it. It's already there. It's a station that's already there. You're just twisting the channel a little bit. But abundance is.
Can I interrupt?
Because
yes. I think
no.
When you say tuning in, I'm like, it's for me. I get the image more of like maybe a person with loads of weights on their shoulders, and then they're just throwing them all off.
Huh.
So it's almost like, because people look at somebody, so we talk about abundance and look at somebody else and they're jealous, like, oh, they look that way, or they've got this. Abundance block. So all these stories that we create, all these things that we create block us. So what we're doing is taking away all of this learned fucking shit that the society, the world, whatever you say, gives us.
Yeah.
And we're coming back to our pure state, which is our soul. Like the goal of life is to come into the world like a child, and the goal of life is to leave the world like a child. So we're going back more into that state. We're judging ourselves less. We're loving ourselves more. We're in that play. We're in that curiosity. We're more that pure. resonance, heart, pure. And that's the only way to describe it.
No, I love this. I have the visual of like you come into the world, as a kid, you come in naked, right? You have nothing. And parents are like, oh, you need to wear a diaper. Well, okay, I'll wear a diaper, but you don't have a say in it. They just put it on you. And then they're like, okay, you're going to wear these clothes. This is the style that you're going to have. And it's some preference that parent had. So they put that on you. But it's not like you ever drop these or take them off. You just keep adding layers of clothing. And then society comes in and says, hey, put this on. Try this on. Your teachers say, put this on. Leaders, religion, all these things. They say, put this stuff on. But you're not taking off necessarily. You're just mounting up all this clothing. And then, yeah. Like, and then as you get older, you're like, you leave the world chuto, right? You're like, you leave the world essentially naked. You strip all that stuff off and you really come to, like you say, that self. And the sooner you can wake up to that, the sooner you can shed these layers or weights that you're talking about here. And that's the power of awakening, right? Is to be able to get that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, of course. It's like the power, you can choose that power anytime you want, right?
Yeah.
You can choose that, and just turn around and go. And the way to do it is by seeing the purity and the beauty rather than focusing, and if your mind does judge and go to these other things, and have compassion and love for that too.
Yeah.
Love the fuck out of it.
Love the fuck out of it.
Right.
It's got me to where I am now. It's kept me surviving.
Yeah.
But yeah. And loving that part.
Well, recognizing the abundance. So if we use the analogy of the river and you're just flowing, and abundance is all around you. It's the water, it's the shore, it's everything along the shore, the flowers, the trees, the birds, all of it. Right. So you're just flowing, and abundance is noticing all of these things. So you just notice them. Right. And at any point, anything you need, you can pluck from the shore or the water or the edge. It's accessible to you. Does that make sense? So you can pull it into your space, but not because you have to, because you choose to bring it in. Right. You're like, oh, I love that. I'm going to pull that into this space. Oh, I'm creating this on my journey here. I'm going to pull that in. I'm going to do something with it. And so abundance it's not acquiring, it's acquiring to transform. It's acquiring to create. It's acquiring to transcend the world the way we've known it. Right. Does that make sense? Like,
I just give the metaphor of like giving birth. Like when you're pregnant, you don't do anything at all. Like, the baby, you just in flow, and the baby's just made in your body for 9 months. And you're just in that gratitude, and everything's changing, your body's changing. All this is, but you're just in that stillness and that beauty of just giving birth.
And there's nothing you could do in that
apart from be loving.
Huh.
Because on my second pregnancy, I was diagnosed with a condition and they said it's going to get worse. And I went away and I was like, I'm going to concentrate on sending this love. Like, what is this here to teach me? I'm grateful for this. Do I think I want to get more love? Yeah. Okay. That's the issue. I'm not going to get more love. So I need to give that to me. And I went through a process of meditating and asking questions and coaching myself. Then images of me levitating were coming. So I was going with that meditation and concentrating on pink light coming around and healing. But I saw it as a gift, and I'd done this process for weeks. And I went back to the doctor, and the doctor, Dr. Egbar, who became my friend, ended up going, it's gone. And I was like, doctor, this is what I've been doing. And then he was like, what? And we ended up like having that. There was such a good friendship. And I'd be like, this is what I'm doing. And he was like, oh. And I had so much gratitude for him because I know that he was one of the only people that's genuinely really happy for me in that moment. And I never forget that moment. We were practically jumping up and down in the room because I had extra fluid around the baby. And I changed perspective. I learned hypnobirthing to teach back in, I don't know how many years ago, 7 years ago. And I ended up going, doctor, I'm going to have a home birth. He's like, what? You've got a rare blood type. You had this. And I was just like, yeah, I'm going to give birth at home. He just respected me. We had this love. But I respected him, even though I was thinking, I don't want to go down the medical route. He wants to push that, right? I was in my heart and I was following my intuition, but I was also in my heart and respected him for being in my life.
Yeah, beautiful. See,
love. I wasn't resisting. I so often I think we think we're on this and we resist what shows up, but it's all a gift. And if we love it all and we love these people that show up and these things that happen, it's the magic you can create, you know. And like last minute, I got him a book, and I must tell you this, and he was like,
yeah,
Marina, I got that book last night. I was gonna buy it, but it was shipping from the US, and I couldn't buy it. And I wrote like a message to him, and he ended up calling me up, and he said to me, Marina, anytime you need me at your house, I will be there. Like, I can't stop thinking about you. So it was just, I was like these angels. The only way to describe it, like when you almost become like an angel in other people's life. It's like this angelic, when you see everything like that, that's where you create the magic. That's where the resistance goes. That's where healing happens.
I want to hit on, like, you keep saying this again and again, and I want to highlight it because I think it's so powerful. Surrender, to me, somebody just said surrender, is the space between causing love and causing harm, right? And forgiveness, one of my favorite definitions of forgiveness is to not cause additional harm. So the moment a person moves into forgiveness, they stop causing harm to themselves, the others, the situation. They move into giving love to that, right? So forgiveness is not justification or judgment or anything that needs to happen over here. Forgiveness is simply, I'm not going to cause any additional harm. Surrender is that flow state that allows you to see where you're at on those two sides there, right? And it feels like in that situation, you could have easily caused yourself or given yourself harm instead of love. But instead, you noticed where you were and you decided, I'm going to give myself love. So in a way, you decided, I'm not going to give myself harm, which as a definition of forgiveness is that, not cause additional harm, right? So that moves you right into love. Go ahead.
This is where I think it's all love, you know, and when you can, that's why I love my concept, is when you can really step into that and love everything as it is when you're free. And I suppose in love, forgiveness is love, like it's all one, right? Everything's one. It's all like a circle to me. It all flows. It's all hand in hand. Like, yeah, when I see it all, I just think I didn't sit there and process like I need to forgive myself right now. I just moved straight into love. Like I need to love.
Yeah. It's not like it's step by step. Okay,
No,
remember step one.
No,
right?
I didn't think that, like, oh shit, I need to forgive myself and make myself ill. Like, because I think there's that belief as well that when illness shows up, it's something we need to forgive or something we've done or something. It's not. Sometimes your body's a gift. It's showing you something. It's showing you maybe where you've been out of balance. And if we listen to the signs and we listen to the gifts and we love them and we see it like that, things change. You know, and it's just, as you said, it's about getting back into balance. And this world will do things to pull us out of balance. And it's not because we're a bad person. It's maybe not because we have to do more forgiveness. It's just sometimes that's what happens, especially if you're a sensitive, kind soul and you're in tune and you feel things in your body.
Yeah.
Especially if you are. So loving yourself even more and loving it all, being kind to yourself is even more important, which is often hard.
Yeah, I see. Gratitude, like what you just shared there, is to me a version of gratitude, which is acknowledging the good that's already in your world, and acknowledging that when you get into that space of just accepting, then it really neutralizes all of that. And gratitude, I think it was Steve Chandler that said that gratitude is a natural expression that comes from you. It's not like you have to go get it. The moment you move into acceptance, gratitude emerges like a flower, right? And all the manure, it just comes up, and you didn't have to do anything, like giving birth. You just had to be there. And so recognizing it, being aware of it, I think that's where we're getting to, is when you notice that you're operating a certain way, it's not like you have to go through all these steps. It's just noticing, acknowledging, and just like that, moving.
Yeah. And it's just, I love bringing in gratitude because There is a superpower. And I know people talk about toxic positivity, but it is a superpower. Like, I never forget when I was young, and it was something so simple of smiling when you dialed. I was in sales, and it changed everything just by smiling. But that's also scientifically proven. It changes everything within us. It changes our biology.
Right.
When we can choose, and I talk a lot about fantasy and the power of now. But we can choose. We can choose to have feelings that make us feel good.
Yeah.
We can flip it. And I think bringing it back to the gratitude, is it a superpower? I've always naturally been like that, but then I've come from nothing. So I think when you've had two parents that don't work and they've been ill and they've been depressed, I mean, you're just grateful for everything. You're grateful if someone's just nice to you, if you've experienced people not being very kind to you quite a lot.
Sure. Yeah.
Like you're in that. So maybe that adversity taught me that. But that is also my natural essence. So I can understand some people struggle more than others, because as a child, I'm like a little, like always wanting to do the good, see the good, help everyone. That's my essence. So I can understand how it's not so easy for everyone, you know?
Yeah, you're not alone. You're not the only one. In fact, I think all humans are that way. Philip Zimbardo tries to convince the world that that's different, that at the core of all of us, we have evil and darkness, right? But most research today indicates that that's not the case, that our natural expression is what you just talked about: gratitude, love, abundance, support, compassion, empathy. Those are at the core of every human. So anytime we get out of that space into something that's less empowering, darker, negative, well, then that's what the world is created on top. This is part of the layers, right? Because at your core, you are not that. No human is.
I love that. Because this is where I don't like boxes, and like when people call people names and call them like a psychopath or a narcissist, or they box people. I don't like it, because I like to see the purity. And I think that when you collide with certain people, whoever they are, they can reconnect to the light. That is my belief.
And people do have traits, tendencies that show up. But again, at their core, they're not that, right? These are defenses and protections that they put on to handle this world because of what happened in their world. So to call somebody a narcissist is to go back and say that they're no good, right? In a way. But essentially, there's a good person that put on some shell of a defense called narcissism, or whatever it is, borderline. I don't care what you call it. But
Trauma.
they put that on as trauma, as a protection, right?
Trauma. And it's, again, sending it love. And it's the duality that fucks me off. Because when you're in duality and blaming everyone, and in this, you're not creating love, are you?
No.
So it's like coming back to like, okay, you know, maybe there's a part of me that I'm not accepting. That's why I'm judging that person and putting them in a box with the name. That's great. That keeps you in therapy for another 4 years. No. Fucking no. Like, you know, everyone's doing the best they can. That's trauma. If you were attracted to that person at that time, that's your trauma. It was trauma bonding. You had to heal stuff. They were your teacher in some way, shape, or form. Great. You've experienced it. What's good about that? How can I move forward and send that love and get out of this duality, which keeps us stuck in, would I say, the darkness?
Yeah.
I feel like it's just not pure, because if I'm sitting there going, oh, this person's this and this person's that, and, you know, and all this stuff, it's going, okay, it's trauma. All anyone needs is more love.
Well, Carl Jung talks about that. He says people judge because it's easier than thinking. And so it is like, if you can judge somebody, you don't have to go into it. You don't have to understand it. You can judge them and move on. It's easier than thinking. And judgment, if you look at the word, it's making a decision with incomplete information. So we judge it. We don't have all the details always. Sometimes there is that we have enough details to make a decision.
And can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Like, it's fear, false evidence appearing real. It's fear. That's all it is. Judgment is fear. When you judge something, and then it's coming back. What am I afraid of here? What are you afraid of?
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah.
You know, that's just a boom. Okay, stop that. Back into flow. Back into love. Where am I going? What direction? What can I give back? What can I, okay, it's fine. We love it. Love yourself. It's just part of the human experience. It's what we're taught. It's what we're taught in school. It's what we're taught around us, as you said, by religion, all different things. Come back to who you really are.
Well, we form opinions. That's what humans do. And judgment is an opinion. And to not have opinions is kind of, I don't know that humans have that in them to not form opinions in some form. But an opinion doesn't have to be negative, right? You could form an opinion of love. You could form an opinion of hate or harm. And so it really, that opinion is whatever you're perceiving is going on in here. That's where those opinions are coming from. So where are you coming from when you form that opinion, right? Is it a perception, like you say, fear, or is it acceptance and love, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Does that?
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. 100%. When you say it, I'm like, yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't judge very often, and I don't make up opinions about people. I like to, unless I'm in front of someone and I'm reading their energy and I can feel their energy.
Yeah.
That's different. I can get an energetic hit. Until then, you don't even really know. Everything else is just an illusion. And send it all love and know that you're working on different parts of you.
Yeah.
And
well, it is always you anyway, isn't it? It's the individual. It has nothing to do with anybody else. So your opinion is what's going on within you getting projected over there on somebody else, right? So it does come back to us. What's going on in you? What are you afraid of? What are you not accepting?
Yeah. And then when you're in love, then it's all much more easier.
Huh. Yeah. Man, I could keep going. There's so much here. Tell us about your legacy. Tell us, what gift are you giving to the world in the work that you're doing?
What gift? Just more love, right? It's that simple.
She is the gift.
Yeah.
You're so sweet. But honestly, I just like to be fucking real and go, in the book that I've done, it's like, there's just so many people that are not authentic and it just upsets me. It's just like, be real. We're all human beings. We're all living a human experience.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No one's perfect. I'm telling you what, I'm going to do things that are wrong in 10 years' time and learn, and things are going to, no one is. No one's God. And we're all God. So it's that element of laughing at it all and not taking it all too seriously and enjoying it all and being real, being fucking real.
Yeah. Yeah.
I bring the realness. I bring who I am. So I empower other people to do the same and to really love themselves for who they are, their soul essence, and to bring more of that out in the world and to accept, and to not feel alone. I mean, I do my hypnosis and things like that, and my idea is to put more of that out there in the world. And specifically, a lot of what I do is helping men. Lots of men come to me with lots of different things around shame that they need to heal. And male suicide is up 200% at the moment, 200%. And it's and that's why I've done a book on love, relationships, and sex for men. And a couple of my theories, on my podcast, is the way you make love is the way you live your life. And I bring sex in not to be an expert, but to go, how are you living your life? Are you enjoying what you're doing right now?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about the end goal. It's about the moment. But there's so much pressure, and there's a lot of pressure around men, around the end goal in all forms. That's why you should have read my book before we come on this.
I know.
Nick,
we would have had a different conversation.
That's good. So, that's the way it was meant to be. Maybe you're meant to read it and get me back on. But there's an element, because I want men not to have shame around this. I want them to be able to have a voice and to hear a woman's perspective on all of this, because it's different. And there's so many books out there, so many things out there. I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah, we would love to do that. Bring you back on as a guest, and then also come on your show if you have a show. And be a
Definitely.
guest there.
Definitely.
That would be beautiful, because there's so much cross collaboration and growth and love that happens, I think, inside of all these different views that can help the audience. I mean, we're trying to hit 100 million people globally. And so just like you, trying to make that impact to as many people as we can in any way we can think of. And so people were asking about your podcast. Can you tell them about that? How do they find you?
So before I was 40,
Yeah.
I wanted to do 40 podcasts as a gift to the world. So I did it. I decided to do it at Christmas. Everyone's like, you're not going to do it. So I've done it. And it's mainly around love and relationships. So it's called The Marina Show on Spotify. So I've done it, and I've done this book, which part one's done. So if anyone wants to see that, I can send that to them on PDF. But I'll be finishing that as well, called Love the Fuck Out of Everything. And it's my method. And look, listen, I do believe it's simple. I think a lot of people overcomplicate it. I think you can solve things quickly. That's why I love hypnosis. It's been powerful for me in my life. And I love just simplifying it and putting it out there and going, look, this is my experience. If this heals you or helps you, there it is. It's almost like a weight off my shoulders, because I want to help and I want to give, and it doesn't. So many people overcomplicate it.
Yeah. Well, I just imagined you've had this gift that you've been carrying for so long for this person that's listening right now, and it's like, I finally found you. I've been carrying this around. This was for you, and you give it to them, and there is that lifting that comes from that, is because you had that for them, and we all have that, and the legacy is giving that gift to the world. And so thank you for that.
Yeah, it was massive for me. It was like, if I'm going to die and I haven't put this work out there, then it's a sin. It's as simple as that. And I never forget my dad saying to me, life starts when you're 40, Marina. And I made little pictures and I put them up and I put them around everywhere. And I was like, his life's going to start. And he didn't. He nearly died. He got given 24 hours to live. Like, life is not guaranteed. You're never going to get to a certain point. You're never going to get there. Live now, live today. No, it's all fucking perfect. And I want people to know that. I want people to be able to step into that right now.
Yeah. Geez, man, I'm having this picture of, like, this is a little off, like Santa Claus, right? You have this bag full of gifts and you're meant to give them out throughout your life. And people hold up this bag of gifts and they say, I'll leave a legacy when I die, right? So I'll give these gifts after I die. And they have this hope or expectation that somebody else will give these gifts in their behalf after they're gone. And that's not what it's meant to be. You're meant to give these gifts now. Like, every time you feel that gift and you're in front of somebody, you give it to them in the moment, because you don't know, like you said, life isn't guaranteed. You don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow to give that gift to them, right?
You are the gift. As like Ryan said, you are the fucking gift. But just you being you, and it's the essence of, like when we hold stuff, again, that's an abundance block, and we just don't give. That's a block. But at the same time, when we don't just, as you said, like, people might not see you as a gift. People might not, see that, and that's okay. Don't ever stop being you. Don't ever stop giving. Don't ever stop loving. Keep walking forward. The right people will appear on the golden path, as I call it. My little golden path, like you guys have just popped up, Isn't it magical? It's like this beautiful golden path. And it's just knowing that you just send love and you do what's right with purity. And the gift might be realness in that moment. And they might not be able to cope with it, but that's okay, right? It's a gift. If they can't, then you're just like, okay, as long as it comes from a pure intention. But if you hold these things and you don't speak your truth and you don't give your gifts, that's again when you get ill. That's again when you're off balance even more.
Yeah.
And
that's beautiful. Ryan, what thoughts are you having, man?
Man, Marina resonates so much with me because of, I think this is just me, but I'm also, there's about 1 trillion comments, so she's resonating with other people too. But the instant that I met her virtually, right through, I think it was Instagram first, and I think it's because of my empath type nature, and who she is a mirror. call people mirrors all the time, right? She's a mirror. And I saw so much of myself in her, but then she helped me to see so much in a new light, a different way, a different perspective that was so less judgmental, because I was being so hard on myself. And she has a way of seeing people and helping them see themselves, and that totally aligns with the things that we do, and so yeah, it was like an instant, like everything, like I watch and I see, this makes me sound like some sort of stalker, but I see so much of her stuff.
He
and
is.
Yes, and I've trained my Facebook and my Instagram and those things to go to what I like and what resonates. And Marina is right in that mix because of who she's being. And she is the gift. And like, I can't even keep up with all the comments because they're best episode ever, everything. She just is that love. See, and I'm even wearing. She's just love.
I love you. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm a bit blown away, really. I don't know what to say, but everybody is. We're all love. And it's so lovely to connect with you guys on here and do this. It's like I've never done 3 people like this before, and see you really in your confidence, both of you, and in your flow and in your power as you discuss all this. It's beautiful to witness. It's beautiful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful you've come in my path.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll be back in America soon, so I'm going to come. Be like, get calm.
And we're grateful you didn't show up with a messy kitchen, because that would have been.
Sort it out. Oh
that would have been weird, right?
She gets on and she's like, "Oh, it's so messy." She goes and moves like one thing.
It is. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to get some order back.
Great. It was perfect. It was exactly how it needed to be. Messy kitchen or not, it was amazing.
It's all perfect. It's all fucking perfect. Thank you, guys.
So fucking perfect. Well, for everybody that's watching today, thank you again. We always say you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're right on time. You're doing what you need to be doing. It is perfect. I love the definition of perfection being that you perform and you complete, from the Latin perfecere. And so that's perfection. Just go do, and keep doing that. Just one more.
Lose performance.
Yeah.
Because I talk about that in my book, sorry. I'm like, lose the performance. No, we don't want that.
Lose the performance. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, dang it, we're gonna have to go on another show now, so stay tuned for.
I love you guys.
Yeah, but thank you for being a part of this. Remember to go support tortoiseshair.com. Sorry I cut you off there, Ryan.
Good. That's perfect.
Go do that. You can bring that comment back up. Remember that we love you. Share this with people that you think would benefit from this conversation today. Come join the Tribe of Giants, join our newsletter, come subscribe on YouTube, and then you see when we go live every single dang time. So we love you. Thank you for being a part of this. We will see you in the next episode. Go make it a giant day. Talk to you soon.
Love you too.